Welcome home, all. You are invited and in a special edition of SuperMex Nation. We've not been on in that format in a little bit because mostly we've hammered out Fridays and Mondays. We got 10 Minutes of Truth, and we've got Cheap Date Night, the ongoing on Fridays. And so I've reserved, some time to spend with people, experts, and people that have opinions that I respect on topical items that come up. And so I think without saying too much and going too far over into the hyperbole, we definitely have some things we need to talk about. So about half a year ago, a little over around 5 months ago, not quite a full 6 months, but about a half year ago, I spent some time with some friends of mine, and we wrapped up the end of the year, 2019, and we also wrapped up in sum and in thought the end of the decade, because we've not just closed out 2019, obviously, but we closed out the decade of the 2010s. And it was more of a philosophical look, a thought at what that decade and what that year meant as a whole, socially, culturally, politically, all of the above, all are free topics to discuss. But we fast forward to now, and I've got those same friends that I have a high opinion of and a respect for. If I didn't, they wouldn't be with me, and I wouldn't be asking them questions. Too late in the game now to be asking dumb people stupid questions, and just not doing that anymore. I mean, that's just a waste of time, and we're not getting any younger here. I don't know about you out there, but I've got my friends joining with me tonight. So tonight is going to be an evening of discussing and talking. In theory, it was going to be always just about where are we now in America at the half-year point, which is roughly, getting into the summer in June. So we're there now. Obviously, that's been skewed a little bit and a little changed, but we're looking at discussing the half year in total. And I've got, I've not fed up and laced up the gentleman with prepared items, other than, philosophically, we want to talk about some things that matter, currently. So I've got some items for them, some questions, and to try to pull out their thought on where we are at the half-year point of 2020, a year that I think at this point, being the historian in the bunch, will no question be something unique and a marking point, at least for this first part of this new century that we're in already 20 years deep. So we're going to discuss the items that we've seen. In essence, and I'm just spilling it for it now because these gentlemen don't know, but they're going to find out right now. Basically, we're going to discuss the pandemic. We're going to discuss the economy and our culture. And then, of course, we're going to discuss the last 2 weeks and roughly 16 days now since George Floyd was murdered on the streets in broad daylight. And I've said it, like an animal in the streets, just murdered. And we'll talk about, others that were also done to similar. So we're going to talk about those three major items as a whole, and we're going to bring our thoughts together from some gentlemen that I have high opinion of, high regard for, and that I respect when it comes to their mentality. So again, I don't think I know everything. What you should do is be wise enough, smart enough to recognize that there are others that may know some things and have opinions that are counter or contrary to yours. But, and this is where it goes before we get started here, ladies and gentlemen, the intent and the purpose is to bring those contrary ideas, opinions, and thoughts ultimately meshed and moving in one direction. Because that's the America that I remember. That's the America, whether you like it or not. There are good things about this country. Let's keep the good, get rid of the bad. There's your metric. It's real simple, right? Keep the good, remove the bad. That's called progress, and that's called a country moving forward with its people in a positive way. So without any further ado, and another 5 hours of my discussing what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce my friends that are back after a half year. To my left and to my right, your left and your right, the other way, on your screen to your right, my incredibly hard right, very, very conservative, very ideological when it comes to his hard right views, Dr. Darren Miller. Dr. Darren Miller. I should have brought the
Mr. Righty.
Yeah, I should have brought it. I forgot to tell KP we could do the Thompson twins do the doctor. And then to my left, my other crime partner that I've known a lifetime. We're getting about a lifetime now, right? I mean, Mr. Tim Swainbo, Education Rambo is what we call him. And I've known Tim, you know, a fairly long time. We have a mutual acquaintance, and we may even get into a little bit of that today, because I think I've shared with you before, Swain, that our mutual acquaintance, Mr. Dennis Fitzpatrick, old Irish coot. I think I mentioned to you once that, or I said recently to you, I have four men. You know, for me, for ladies, it's guy thing, right? But I have four men that I kind of have as a metric for me growing up and becoming a man, because I lost my dad when I was a little boy. And these four guys shaped, influenced, and made me who I am today, with, of course, the base of what my father, my mother, you know, raised me to be. And I'll name those, 'cause I've never really done that on air, but during school, high school, finishing my K through 12, and a rough time for me because, again, I lost my father when I was younger, and I was just aimless and wandering. But Dennis Fitzpatrick and Robert Arbayo, and those two gentlemen are no longer with us, but both long lifetime educators. They gave their life to working with kids. One of them, a Mexican gentleman, and Mr. Fitzpatrick, he used to joke with me all the time, the Irish were the Mexicans of Europe. That was his line. Yeah. And then lastly, two gentlemen that I've not spoken about a whole lot, and I probably will more, and I'm going to find them, Sergeant Worrell and Sergeant Kutcher. And so my point is, before we get started, gentlemen, is that the people that shaped my life and manhood were three white guys officially, you know, an Irishman, one was English, etc., and a Mexican gentleman. So I didn't like discriminate. Good is good, is my point. Good is good. Whether you're black, brown, white, or green, whatever the hell you are, good is good. And so I want to kind of begin our night tonight, you know, with that thought, because this is all true story. I learned what I am of a man, as a man, from those gentlemen that I respect, you know, to this. Two of them are gone. I need to find those other two, because I still respect them that much, and I'd love to see them. So, you know, so here's the thought, guys. So we've got, let's do this. Let's begin with the pandemic, because that's kind of like what broke out at the beginning of this year, right? And so what I want to do is I'm going to go to each of you, and, you know, we're at by 5 months now, 4 months of the pandemic, because it was late January into early February. And I just want blunt, brutal truth, because that's all we do here. Give me your assessment, give me your analysis on what you've seen and what you think, because obviously it's not done. We're still dealing, you know, with it. And, you know, give me an analysis and assessment of what you think it's done to us and where it's going, you know, and how we deal with it. Doctor.
So just for relevancy's sake, the state of California is one of, I believe it's 12 states who has a rise in COVID.
Recently.
COVID infection. So we're one of the states that's going up. In particular, Fresno County is on a rise over the last 4 or 5 days.
I love this guy, because he always has the pertinent information right now. I'm serious. I mean, because you know this stuff.
We're not rising like at 1,000 cases
right.
You know, a day or anything, but it is about 100 to 125 cases a day over the last 4 or 5 days that Fresno County has seen an increase. Now you can say it's because you know, people are going out, social distancing, all the different things. We're opening up, all those kind of things. Or you can just say that people have always been sick, and it's just because of the increase in testing
now we've
got going on that we're becoming aware. But whatever the case is, I'm not sure how or why, how we got to a point where we're opening up as you know, to a point where they're talking about in California opening up movie theaters. I'm not sure how we got to that point, given that many of our counties here, in particular the larger counties, haven't met any of the metrics that you're supposed to meet before you'll be able to go to some type of phased opening up. But this virus is real. I mean, we've lost 110,000 people.
I think it's close to 114, 115 now.
Yeah, I mean, that's serious.
Yeah. Did I tell you those are Americans?
Right.
These are American people dead.
Right. And people, you know, some of the conservatives on the right side says, well, we lose, you know, 30, 40,000 people a year to the common flu. Well, yeah, but that doesn't justify
correct.
The loss of life.
I've heard that too. Like, well, car crashes and you got this and you got that. But you're right.
That doesn't justify the loss of life.
It's an excuse.
Had our response as a country been, I think, more timely, And what I mean by timely is more immediate in some of the things we put in place.
Faster, more
faster, aggressive, more comprehensive, rather than having, Fresno County is in a lockdown and Tulare County just to the south of us is not in a lockdown. Yeah. Their numbers are off the chart. Our numbers are kind of stable. Well, hell, we got people who live in Fresno County and drive to Tulare County every day to go to work, especially in particular with the school districts and those type of things. We got people who live in Visalia, who work for the county of Fresno, city of Fresno, those type of things. They're driving up here. So we have that cross-pollination of these different counties. And so I just think that the responses are governmental or organizational responses also has some of the burden as to why the numbers are
and I've done more than a few shows, KP is my witness, on our response, and I try not to make it political, regardless of where you are, philosophically with your political philosophy. But it's real simple, and we've done this like more than a few times on 10 Minutes of Truth. It's like this. I juxtaposed and compared with the women. I'm going to plug the women again tonight because we did one the other day, just 2 nights ago. I did women world leaders and I did male world leaders, and the differences are stark. If you just run down the list, if you pull up a list for like national and international world leaders, the highest confirmed case count and death count is almost uniformly men that lead the world, and the women have had the best response. And so I made the statement the other day, and might not have made some people happy, probably guys, but I used the example of New Zealand again, and I've been all over that gal. She is badass. Jacinda Ardern, she's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Kiwis, they have 22 total deaths from the virus. 22.
And they haven't had a new case. They haven't had a new case in
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So
15 days.
Right, and their last
case
is recovering. And once this last case recovers.
Okay, so you guys have been watching. So we did that show on Monday, and I brought out all that. 22 total deaths, total. No new cases in the last 15, I want to say 16 days. No new cases. And correct, the last case is recovering, so they have no current active cases at all. I mean, I just sat there, and I've been watching this whole time, watching her. She was one of the first to aggressively, she shut down, locked down, quarantine, everything. She didn't take any lip, any guff, and she sure as hell didn't get on camera and say, well, it's not that bad. She cared for her people. And the result is she saved lives of her people. That's the difference.
Let me give you an example of that in California. Who was the first city to shut down?
I don't know.
San Francisco.
Too locked. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
London Breed.
Yeah.
She got a lot of hell for being aggressive and shutting down San Francisco, which then permeated to the other surrounding Bay Areas, the cities in the Bay Area. And if you've noticed, that metropolitan area, that San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area. Oh yeah, hell yeah, London Breed sister.
There you go. I don't know.
Nice looking sister, by the way. So she was real aggressive up front in saying shut down, and she took the heat, but you don't have this concentrated, heavily populated area that doesn't have the outbreaks like some of the other cities, like Los Angeles, Long Beach,
that's perfect.
San Diego, a woman leader.
Exactly. Okay, so that's perfect because I didn't know that. I'll be and I think you all know, like where my head has been, like for a while now. It's been like I'm like super concentrated in reading, learning a lot about foreign policy. I do a lot of study on other countries. So my walking back, I don't know as much. I use you guys and others to give me information on local and state, but I did not know that. But I'm entirely not surprised that it was a lady that took swift action and didn't give a damn about what her polls were. She did what was right. I mean, that's scary.
Well, I know for me, I think what I'm really surprised about, and not just school district-wise, but state and nation, don't we have a plan? Shouldn't we have a plan?
We don't.
For something like this? I mean, you look at.
We had a plan.
Well, yeah.
But what?
But I'm just saying.
We have plans based on the entity. I know you actually. I'm gonna be a pig, but it's like, and I know exactly where you're going. I'm gonna let you flesh that out. But seriously, because he brought it up.
Yeah.
We have 50 gazillion different plans based on the states.
Yeah.
And we have a different plan based on the national, which is not much of a plan.
Right.
And then each locality, municipality in a state as big as California, there's a different plan. So go ahead.
Yeah, but you look at the pandemics that we've had over the years. You would think that, I don't know, somebody would say, hey, when we have a situation like this is what we do based on, the flu of 1918,
Correct.
the
Spanish
swine
influenza.
flu, the Spanish flu, all that stuff. And it's like we're hemming and hawing. It's like, well, this county can do this and this county can do that. I know for me locally, I was really taken back that when our school district and our school districts around us closed, it was like, we got the word on Friday, and I'm like going, okay, let's kick. Okay, what's the plan? Let's kick in the plan. There was no plan, and we were sitting around twiddling our thumbs.
This was the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see who's doing
yeah,
what.
Exactly.
That's what I remember. Let's see who's doing what.
And as former administrators, you have a school plan, a safe school plan, that when you have an intruder, a lockdown, whatever, you get that out, and it's like, all right, step one, step two, step three.
Everybody
kicks
knows
in.
it.
And I'm waiting for that to get kicked in with the district and the schools. And
But part of those safety plans that they're required to do every year does not include
I know
pandemic.
exactly,
like
but I would think
Explosions.
Like, why hasn't that happened?
But why
terrorists.
hasn't?
that?
But there should be something that, hey, when we have a long-term school closure. Now I know I'm digressing.
It will be.
and
That's
go-
one of the things that's happening. It will be.
But
It's
but
not right
anybody
now.
with half a brain, it's not rocket science. That you're sometime in the lifetime, your school is going to get shut down. Out of a whim. The same thing with a city, the same thing with a state, the same thing with a nation. And that's why I'm kind of sitting back.
You know what? Let's flesh that out a little bit, because I won't speak for Darren, but you're still in the classroom. He's still in the classroom.
Yeah.
Of the three of us.
Yeah.
I remember that time. Obviously, my wife teaches, but I remember that. And I'm like, my first click was like, they don't know what the hell they're going to do. They're going to wait to see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So you're saying that on that day, they said, okay, we're doing this, and then.
The bad part about it is we have examples of entire school districts shutting down on a whim
Right.
over the last couple of years. Those damn fires. Remember
Correct.
Paradise,
To
the
the
city
north.
of Paradise got totally obliterated
Exactly.
by fire
Yeah.
over a 2-day period of time. Those school districts were shut down. What did
Yeah.
they do?
Yeah.
And so I agree with you that there has not been
Uniformity.
in adding that in. I do know that there are some discussions, and it probably will happen, that the safety plan, the school safety plans, whatever the hell it's called, will now have to include total school shutdowns. It won't be based on pandemics and things, but what happens if you get displaced from your school site, your brick and mortar building, for a period of time? That's going to have to go in the safety plans.
But what's sad to me and what irritates me is that you look at history, you look at history, and you go back and you look at the things that have occurred.
This isn't new.
And this is nothing that's new.
That's not that long ago. We had SARS, H1N1.
Yeah.
Like I said, the swine
Well,
flu.
this
This
is
was all
all
the
this is-
zeros.
yeah.
Ebola. Remember? And
exactly.
there was a plan.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know all the details, but I want to say it was 2009, 10 was Ebola? 12 maybe, somewhere in
or
there?
SARS, it was, or
And they
or
did-
the Middle Eastern one.
they
It was
Yeah.
the zeros into the tens.
Yeah.
But there were multiple, and it was pandemic.
But that
So-
was done through the WHO people that we just, as the United States, we just pulled out of.
Yeah, exactly.
WHO.
The World
Yeah.
World Health
World Health
whatever.
Organization.
If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, that was the entity that
You know, it's funny,
orchestrated
like,
the world
they
pandemic.
joke with that. People say like the Who. They play the Who
Oh,
music.
song. Yeah. But they had gone through a situation where this type of event happens,
Correct.
and it wasn't just the United States. It was the world that was
Globally.
involved in it, and
Yeah.
then each country went back and devised their own plan.
Right.
From what I understand, I don't know this, I haven't seen the plan or anything, there was a plan that was written under the Obama administration that was left for our current administration who didn't use it. It's like some of our textbooks, like our safety plan. If you were to go look for your safety plan at your school district, where is it? It's on the bookshelf, grabbing dust, and you only pull it out when you need it.
The other sidebar to that point of yours is that, as the new administration came in, they gutted, meaning they removed or they got rid of a lot of the people in the agencies that would be dealing with this specific thing. Because yes, there was a bit of something left over, and I'm probably like you guys, I don't know all the specifics of it. Here's the thing, I'll say it. I don't want to have to worry about that.
Right.
I want my government to worry about that. Why are we taxed?
Exactly.
Why do we give, I'm going to get all 16th century on you, but You know, you have a Thomas Hobbes, a John Locke, you have Montesquieu. We as people give some rights, give some money over to this government, this entity that is supposed to take care of and provide certain things for us. I don't want to have to think about how we deal with the pandemic. That's not my job.
Yeah.
My job is to pay into the national government so that they can take care of these things and save their people or provide for their people.
Right.
And that has not happened because, like I think we've all fleshed out here now, there's no question that we have not achieved any kind of uniformity. And even now, even where we're at now, if we did, we might still be able to bring the number down of people lost, lives lost.
Right.
But if you look at the macro, like that's just the United States, right? You know, you brought up the World Health Organization. Look at the countries like national or internationally. There is no uniformity. Everybody's doing whatever the hell they want to do for their specific nations, right? Brazil's going through the roof. We covered that. I did that the other day. That Bolsonaro guy was one of the guys I included in unwanted world leaders because they're going through the roof. And this guy's laughing and joking about it. I watched the guy from Mexico. I told you, I've spent too much time internationally. Obrador, he was on camera. He was joking. Yeah, in Spanish, he was saying that if you don't lie, cheat, or steal, you won't get the virus. He was joking. And their people are going, they're getting hit hard.
Mexico's numbers
Obrador.
they're
starting to go up.
I haven't seen their numbers.
They're starting to go up. And then so obviously,
I know Brazil is the hot spot right now.
Yeah.
it is. But I would say Xi Jinping, we don't have, there's no question, we don't have accurate numbers on what happened, what happened in China and what's still happening.
Yeah.
And then do you think Vladimir Putin's going to give us accurate numbers?
No.
So I pointed out those four gentlemen, Bolsonaro, Putin, Xi Jinping, and Donald Trump, as the four world leaders that have had some of the worst response. I mean, if you just did numbers, we have over 115,000 deaths. We're the worst. And I'm like, country?
We have 25% of the world's deaths.
I know. And nowhere near that in population. So
I want to say we're 8%, right? The American population.
It's less than 10. I don't know exactly what it is.
It's single. If I'm not mistaken, it's single digits of the world population. But we have
we're about
25%
320 million people, and it's nowhere near that.
deaths.
But I mean, I've just been astounded by. I mean, you guys got to know. Like my military, my hackles go up when we don't have a clear, distinct, understandable plan.
So here's something as you talk about the world component of it. Here's some of the places that I've been looking for large explosions that didn't happen. India.
Oh, they're going up now.
Places like Bangladesh.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know, some of those Middle Eastern countries. I have not heard a whole bunch about the African continent.
Is it the heat?
No, I don't think.
I don't know.
You know, well, if you really noticed,
So
as this thing like blew out, it was mostly the urbanized, more developed world.
But think about it.
No, I know what you're saying, but
in
it was,
India, they got the second largest city.
Yeah.
I can't think of what the name of the
they
city.
got more than. They got 2 or 3.
Well,
massive.
they have a city. I want to say it's the second largest city. Come on, Darren. I'm relying on my history guy.
You'll jump on your phone. But
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. But India's starting to climb now. There was some initial, like, countries like China and some of the others where they wear masks a lot anyway. They didn't get hit in certain areas as hard because people wear masks normally.
Yeah, they just
I mean,
do
I'm going to
all
say
that.
this, and this isn't racial or stereotypical, but I can tell you directly in my travels, it sounds like a world travel, in my travels, I've seen Asian people wearing masks before the pandemic.
Here in Fresno State, the Chinese students.
They wear masks.
They wear masks,
Well,
and I
yeah.
see them when I was
Well,
working
because
on my
they learned
dissertation.
from SARS. You know that I remember when SARS came about.
That's true.
And all of a sudden you see that it became okay. Yeah,
Common.
they're common.
Yeah, and just practice, and
Yeah,
that's
practice.
I do believe that, like, so the developed world, the more urbanized world, where travel was more like rapid in terms of the spread of the virus. You know, people, you know, Europe exploded immediately. They were one of the first ones, and then the United States. The more developed world, the more urbanized and more communication and travel advanced world got hit first. Now, third world, South America, and I think eventually, like, you know, into Africa also, and the southern hemisphere of our globe.
So my question is the virus there, and is it ravaging those areas, and we just don't know because of less of connectivity, or what exactly? So that's
just
one
good,
question.
reliable information.
The other question I've always wondered is, why has the virus not ravaged our homeless population? I've been, and I'm not saying this to be morbid, But I've been waiting for there to be some huge announcement.
Morbid,
that
dressed all in black.
Yeah, I know. That's your fault.
Looking all morbid.
The homeless population, because of their density, how closely they're packed, and then proximity, these camps and different things, and they haven't. And
Or do we know that though? Do we not? Do we know that maybe they're infected and they're just not dying yet? I don't know.
I mean, that's a question I have. I don't know either.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a theory. All right, so when you are out in the environment like that, okay, you come in contact with everything and anything,
correct,
and your body builds an immunity system. Is that why?
Well, I think. Listen, I think
I
that's
don't see the research.
Look,
you know, who
I think
knows?
that's
I mean,
no, you're right. I think
mean,
that's the generic, and in a good way. I think that's the generic thought process or theory that a lot of my homies on the right like to say, oh, we're going to develop herd immunity tomorrow. Just put them all. Well, and that's what they did in Sweden, by the way.
And it didn't backfire.
No, it didn't. Like all the Nordic countries, Sweden's by far the worst.
Yeah.
But they said, okay, we're going to lose more in the short term so that the long term. Now, here's the problem with that. You're knowingly making a decision that's going to kill more people. Right?
Yeah,
that's the hard. I have a hard time with that. That herd immunity and that immunity process. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for it probably, but I got, like, my wife tells me I got a gut like a billy goat and like immune system like an ox. I don't get sick, and I think I've told both of you. I haven't been sick in over 4 years. Not even a sniffle, not a sneeze, nothing. Now, probably because growing up and being in the military and other things, I've been exposed probably to way more than I need to admit. And I'd like to think that might be part of it, but there is rationale and science behind being exposed to things and then later being immune to another strain of something.
That's life, though. I mean, think about it. You know, that's how we get over chickenpox. We get exposed to chickenpox. Our body has immunity to it. Mumps, measles, all those type of things. You know, we get vaccinations.
Well, that's the basis of vaccinations. You know, you get your flu shot, or at least I know I do. You know, every year, just because I'm around kids all the time, and so I get that. And
so here's the fry the egg, kind of thought, if not question, is that, say, if America, like in general, more populated, more urbanized, more advanced culture, we're more immunized, or we're more cognizant of, and we take more care of, and we have kids hiding, mommy's right behind them with the Purell, covering them all the time, right? You guys know what I'm getting at, and it's an ugly thought, but it is true, okay? And then when that kid cannot be covered or taken care of or hidden from something exposed, then he or she's really susceptible to that, whatever it is, because it's new, and because you've built no immunity, you have nothing for it. Because you've been, like, say, sheltered, say, like you lived in a bubble, right? What happens the first time? What happened to Native Americans when Europeans first came over?
Oh yeah,
they were obliterated in diseases because they didn't have these things.
Exactly.
Incidentally, the Amazon, the Amazon people, the Amazon rainforest people, I mean, they're in for hell coming. And
it's already been introduced to some villages there. And it's ravaging through these villages.
It's doing it right now, and those people are going to be and listen, God willing, and I don't do a lot of religion on air, but I'm telling you, man, there's
no way around that, man. I mean, you just don't have.
They don't have immunity.
Well, they don't have immunity, and then think about it, they don't have the vaccinations. They have nothing. They're in very, very isolated areas. So how do you get
one exposure? One exposure, and it could be done for I don't even know how many. I don't think nobody really has a hard number on how many Amazon indigenous people live in the Amazon, and some are so deep in there that they've never met a society outside of just their little thing. But they're going to be, and that goes to your point about exposure and immunity. And I think there is something to be said for that. On the other end, though, it's like I said, you got to make that hard question or a hard decision, like, what do I do as a leader or an administration or a government that knowingly will kill X amount? The hard decision. But I think we're all, the three of us, we're all kind of uniform, and I think we'll say it. We clearly, the numbers are just there. We clearly did not act as a country fast enough, aggressive enough, and with purpose to save lives. And the result is, and I'm going to say it, we have the worst death count on the planet.
There's evidence that says that we, the United States of America government, however you want to define that, knew about this virus or the possibility of this virus as far back as November.
I've heard that.
I've
too.
seen that.
There
yeah.
was through the intelligence, through I don't know if it was the FBI. It wouldn't be FBI. It would be the CIA, I guess. Whatever one is the one that goes can
Mostly
go out.
CIA. They would.
That's
be
the
aware.
one that goes into international.
Yeah, they
Okay,
would
so
be
it's
aware.
The CIA and these other different intelligence agencies we've had. They were saying that there was a murmur about something in China that was a fever, fast racing, that type of stuff, and they started to share that information with surrounding areas, surrounding governments, and we didn't do anything with that here until when did we get locked down? March, basically, beginning of March,
Yeah.
when everything kind of started
Yeah.
happening over here.
Yeah.
So that's say December, January, and
Well, and
definitely
even that
February.
that wasn't government like at the top. That was states made
local,
decisions
yeah.
before the national government did the damn thing.
Yeah, but that's 3 months. That's
Yeah.
roughly 90 days.
We're
that
we're
we
just a
didn't
little
do
over
anything.
100 days, I think. We're around 100 days total since the whole thing began, and I'm just like, I don't know. We're still dealing with it now. We'll kind of touch on some of these other topics with it. But I think, like I said, we're uniform at least in that understanding. And like I said, I don't like lying. And if you want to make it political, go ahead, because you're not hurting my feelings. But the bottom line is, we sucked when it came to our response. And that's why I pointed out on the other shows that I've done that there are women in this world that did a better job at saving their people than we did. And I'll leave that last thought, that why do we exist in a society? We give our rights over to a government to provide certain things for us, protection, defense, whatever, and this one, just because it wasn't an army of T-80 tanks rolling through a street, Russia or something, that's still the job of our national government and our president to take care of your people. Less people dying is a good thing. More people dying, not a good thing. I think that's easy enough. Let's bounce from there a little bit forward. So let's move a little bit into economy, because I think we're all aware now that I'll be first to say it. I went yesterday to visit with the young man that's probably going West Point.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
black and gold, baby, black and gold. He's he's like, I haven't coached him since he was a little boy. I've coached him here or there, but they're really close friends of the family. And you guys know I still work with, I'll never stop working with kids. I will never, because it does keep me grounded, keeps me a little focused on what our priorities are. And I'm real happy. He's a great kid, so he's going to apply, and he's probably going to get accepted to West Point. So I'm real happy.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so I met with him yesterday, and so what do wrestlers do? We go eat. Wrestlers got to go eat. So we went and ate at a teppanyaki place in Clovis, because they live in Clovis. I think it was Japanese kitchen one. So this is what they did. So we were able to go in. We had to come in with our masks. We had to have a mask on. And so we walked in. They all had masks, the staff. And we were able to do teppanyaki. And you guys know what teppanyaki is. It's around the table. So instead of a full table, Ryan and I were at one end. And you know how they're like half moon or whatever. Ryan and I were on one end, and then three ladies were on the other end.
Okay.
And we were distanced.
Nobody in between.
Nobody.
So they separated the parties and not the individuals. So
Correct, not the individual you came with.
Okay.
So
That's a part.
so-
that's a question I was being asked. I didn't know how they were.
No,
gonna do it.
that's how they did it anyway. That's how Clovis did it. And I think I'm not sure. This is how bad I am. That's why I rely on you guys. Inform me of like what's local, right? But that's what I saw yesterday. That was just yesterday. So Ryan and I, the young man, were on one end, and then the three ladies were on the other end, and we did teppanyaki. But we were separated, and definitely by more than 6 feet. We had space. So that's what I've seen. And I know Clovis opened much earlier than Fresno did. You've got the rationale and the reasons, but even I ask, and I generically do this now with every business, and I've got a lot of business that I deal with or partner with, and I ask them, like, so how's business? And like, they all shake their head. It's not good. It's not going to be good for a while, but we're surviving.
How did they do the menus? Did they give each of you a menu, or how did that work? Do you remember?
You're asking me a question.
Because that's one of the things. That's kind of not recently, but when everything started shutting down, the people that I know that was in the restaurant business, their minds were thinking about, hell, this is going to cost me more money because they're making me get rid of my common menus. The ones that are in the plastic. They want you to get rid of those and want you to get paper disposable menus and all those type of things. And so,
so the answer,
and then do boards. The other thing they said is to do a menu board.
Yeah.
So that way you can change it on a regular basis rather than having to give people things to their
So I've got
hands.
like a two to go with that. So they didn't have a paper menu. It was a regular menu, whatever their regular menus were. So, and whoever came in after is probably going to get the same damn menu.
Well, they're probably
Unless they're cleaning it.
when they take them, they're probably scrubbing them with some type of wipe or
So
something.
here's a sidebar and a thought. I don't even want to put it on an air yet, but I've got a guy who is working on an app for menus. So that when you come in to said business, you can order off your phone the menu.
Well, they're kind of doing that now with the DoorDash stuff and
Yeah,
those
yeah, no, of course,
types of things.
but I'm
It's
talking about
probably
like,
just a-
yeah,
You go
a
walk
deep-
into
to
an
walk-ins.
actual restaurant.
Yes, for a
and
walk-in.
and you're on their app. Yeah.
Right, so that's we're working on that because going forward, get it to the point where the app is actually less expensive than
Correct.
manufacturing, the plastic covered menus.
You make
and
it
then-
simple enough when people come in, and if they don't have it, you just send them to your. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a ton.
I
of
should have
sense.
said anything, but
No,
we're
I
working
mean,
on it. We're
because
having
think
to work
about it, some of the restaurants already do that. They post their menus because it's just a thing to do to have on your website and stuff. But
Yeah.
now what they're probably going to do is direct people. All they'd have to do is pivot and direct people there on the regular.
Well, there's a lot of restaurants where they do a lot of takeout. I know that there's like my wife and I, we go to these places that they serve the poke bowls, with the tuna and all that stuff. And a lot of them, they have a window now where you don't go into the restaurant. And they have an app or their menu online, and you pay, slide to pay. You already have your credit card information uploaded, and okay, come in 15 minutes, and you go walk up and you go, order for Tim, and they go, here you go. And so now, because of this pandemic, you watch. That's going to be just an everyday type of thing now.
But think about it, that's going to be a switch in cost.
True.
Because if they had restaurants where people were coming in, sitting down on a regular basis, some of the cost, some of the money that they would be expending to take care of the tables and doing those type of things, now they can convert it into a window where people are coming up. I mean, so I mean,
where that goes,
Or,
right?
or even you go to a restaurant and you sit down, and then they go, okay, do you have our app loaded? No, I don't. Okay, well, this is the app. Go load it, and then do your menu. So really, your server now is not taking your,
Correct.
Go the logical next step to that. though.
Applebee's does that now with the little kiosk thing
They do,
on the table.
but I'm going to say run with that logic
Yeah.
when you're talking about the server. Where does that go?
Well, and what happens though is that server now is losing out on money. So
That server also, and I'm going to just run you to the end of it, that server may also become expendable.
well,
Somebody still got to bring the food to you, though.
True. Okay, but
That's less.
less servers.
I know.
And so what does that mean? So we're talking about the economy as a whole, gentlemen. So think about this. Where is the economy really stuck? And we're going to get to this in a second too. Who's hurting the most in terms of the economy right now? All right, even though the stock market's booming and
our
everything's great,
service industry.
not.
Service industry.
Okay,
Service
it's the
industry.
lowest,
Yeah,
the lowest
of course.
income
yeah.
rationale, and
Yeah.
you guys know where this goes, right? It's minorities, poor, and young people.
Yeah.
Okay, those metrics are the people that are hurting the most. Some young dude who just got a job as a
Dishwasher,
dishwasher, a little young gal doing
Maids,
waitress,
yeah,
Right.
waitresses,
Those things
yeah.
are becoming more and more expendable if
course.
tech can subsume their
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
In any, like I said, you still need
we've
somebody
always-
to take it out, right?
But we've always, since the advent of the smartphone, tech is just it's coming along. It's coming along. So it's always been. Well, look at McDonald's. McDonald's, what, 3, 4, 5 years ago? A lot of them now, you walk in, you don't see the, hey, welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order? You have a kiosk there.
Yeah.
And so it's just now, unfortunately, this whole pandemic
two slugs.
is really
Two slugs to the gut.
it's pushing the advent of technology to where if technology was just kind of rolling along, and okay, yeah, we're going to do an app and this and that, and now it's going to explode
Yeah,
quickly.
so I'm going to give you
Yeah.
a practical example on the business end. Damn, that's ugly. I'm actually the business guy in the group. That's bad. That's bad. 'Cause I'm not a business guy. But I don't just believe this. I know this. that we were already, and I've told people, we were already a soft, bloated economy. I really believe that. We were inflated.
Biggest Ponzi game ever
Okay,
played.
we were inflated, and it was like a big balloon. It looks good. It's like juicing on steroids, right? Dude's all yoked, and then SpongeBob comes and pulls out the thing, and he deflates. And it's like, I thought it was like a big balloon, and this little needle came along, and that needle had a DNA of a virus, and it just blew everything. So here's the thing, and this is on the practical end. I already have businesses telling me, and we're talking specifically right now like restaurants, service industry, stuff like that. But restaurants, because we all know restaurants.
Yeah.
We all go eat and use restaurants, right? They are already not planning on hiring back the amount of people that they had prior.
Yeah.
They're going to hire some.
Yeah.
And those other people, and this is a true story, I'm hiring a young guy this next week to do some things for me, SuperMex International, everything we've got. And he's coming from that because he knows that he's going to be like last on the list because he was one of the last ones hired, and they're not hiring everybody back.
Right, yeah.
So all that is going to take a hit, and I'm still amazed, like, oh, wow, jobs are growing again. Where? I'm like, I think all this is a big shell game too, because we're gonna pay a heavy price. And where do those people get jobs? Where do those young people, poor people, minority people that don't have that ability to just work from home? Like maybe, listen, we're all professionals, the three of us. We've lived enough life, we've done things, we can survive, we can be okay. But young people, poor people, and minority people that don't have resource and access, they're gonna hurt right now. And they're suffering. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying. I'm gonna hire a guy or two to help with what I do, and I can't pay them a load, but they're not going back to service, because the service jobs are not going to be there.
Well, and it brings to the forefront another issue that has always kind of been in the background. We have to retool America.
Our economy.
Correct.
End of story.
No, not just the economy, everything.
Everything. I mean, we have to retool the way that we train folks so that they're not having to, I'm a server at Applebee's or this or that. Don't get me wrong, good paying jobs. I mean, I know that a lot of these restaurants pay, people a damn good wage, but now it's just like.
But if it's not there going forward.
Well, yeah, but
what the
that's
hell?
where again, we are in the back seat, and we need people to look forward.
Correct.
And say, you know what? We've been talking about this for 10, 15 years, 20 years ago. Why hasn't that happened where we have really taken a stance of retooling our education, our job markets, all that stuff? And it's sad.
Because we wait for it to get ugly.
We wait for it to get ugly, and now it's ugly, and look at where we're in. And so going back to the whole thing of why is the cities and the states and all that opening up? It's because of money. It's because of money. And it goes back to my point again. Where the hell was the plan? Where the hell was the plan 20 years ago on, hey, we're not just going to look at how do we deal with a virus or something that is introduced into our nation, but look at all the little downroads of how do we deal with the service industry? How do we deal with education? How do we deal with this? How do we deal with that?
Well, you quite literally hit the nose on the head of the nail with the fact. I mean, you said it. Why are we opening up? Why are we opening up this fast? It's simple, because we want to make money. I say we generically, right? Out there in the ether, but we can't. Oh God, how did I explain this? Okay, I was with KP's son the other day. AP. I just call him AP.
Yeah.
He's my little crime partner now.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing stuff for me, and I like this kid a lot. Not saying that because you're here, KP. I like the kid. And he's 19 years old, and we were talking about things like generically, right? And he's just looking at objectively what's going on. And I just said it. We went to Bobby Salazar's in the tower. You're going to like this. I don't know if you're going to like it. You're going to like it. I walked in. He and I were the only two guys wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And the place was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was packed. The only people that had a mask, and I'll back up a little. Let me walk that back. The employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go by there all the time.
Right.
I see that.
That was it. And the place was packed, Darren. It was packed. So we walk in and we're like, okay, I'm cool. I got my style on. I got my mask, right? Doing my thing. And we sat down, and he was just like asking me like general questions, like a young dude to an older dude, like philosophically, Mr. Martinez, what do you think about this, like historically? And he had a good little discussion. education, right? I'll never leave education. But I told him, and it hit me, and it just like staggered me, because I had the thought, and I've been thinking this, but I worded it in a one-liner to him, and he said it just like really affected him after we were done. It was, as Americans, we no longer have the patience, the discipline, or the give a damn about our fellow man to do the hard things. We don't. We don't. We couldn't do, I was thinking about this, I mentioned New Zealand, right? We couldn't do that.
But let me.
We can't do that.
So I think the hard question, or the question I would have in that, is why?
We're soft. I mean, that's generic for me, but we are a soft, undisciplined, and not giving a damn people anymore.
Well, I think
I mean, look, it's 110,000, 115,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm. It would be
Do
more,
people even give a damn?
It would be more than that had the states not picked up.
No, you're absolutely
Well,
right.
I think the reason why we don't do a lot of things, it boils down to, in my opinion, political. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
But that goes. You're absolutely
our
right.
political environment,
Okay,
and I'm not
it
just
is.
saying now,
It is.
but
It is.
for many years
It's worse
before,
than it's ever been.
It's worse than it's ever
Right.
been, and it's like, okay, let's say the current government did, and they just, all right, shut down, done. He would have, or the
hammered.
government would
Been
have been hammered mercifully. It's just the other way. It's
Well, like the gal in
it's-
San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
She got hammered.
Yeah, it's just like being a leader of a school. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, and you just need to
So
rise
then what
up.
do you do?
You rise above
do-
and you do what's best for your people.
Period.
The reason why you
Yeah.
can't
Period.
do that in our society,
We don't do
is
that
it's
anymore.
all predicated off of capitalism.
True
It's
too.
It's
Yeah.
based off
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
It's not based off of necessarily the economy, because I believe that the virus has exposed the biggest shell game
Yeah.
ever
Like I
known
said,
to
bloated,
man.
bloated.
Okay,
We weren't that strong.
how can you go through losing? I don't remember even how many jobs. Was it 40 million
40 million total at one
jobs
point.
or something like that we've
Over.
lost? How can you lose 40 million people out of your economy,
in the span of like
and
less
the
than
stock
90 days?
market has not totally tanked?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
it.
that. And I don't understand all those.
And you do know they're making millions.
Yeah,
billions.
I don't understand how all that works. The stock market and that kind of stuff. But I know that the stock market is supposed to be connected to real people.
It's supposed
and
to.
what we're doing.
Wall Street to Main Street.
Supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
But this virus has exposed that
Disconnected.
we have two different
Two Americas.
economical
Two Americas.
systems
Call it what
going
it is.
on in America.
Two Americas. See, and my thing is, like I tell people, the division in America isn't unilaterally based on a political ideology, Democrat or
I
Republican.
think it's based
okay,
off of
but it is that. Okay, so
money.
here's a stat I'll give you, because again, I do all the numbers on that end. Over the last 3 months, basically the pandemic, right? Correct? So over the last 3 months, the billionaires in our country, meaning if you're a billionaire in America, all right, and we have as many as, I think we're 1 or 2 in the world in terms of the billionaires in America during the last 3 months made $453 billion. Jeff Bezos made $25 billion. Zuckerberg made $14 billion. And you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, how is this economy so damn good? And my thing is like, in terms of the overall pie, let's get something really easy and understandable for everybody. This big American pie, right? This percentage, the rich get rich, the poor get poorer, and the middle class shrinks, because where can you take more money from? You can't take it from the poor, which is getting bigger. So where does it come from? The middle class. And then that percentage shrinks at the top end.
Here's my pushback on that. Those two examples that you just gave, Bezos with Amazon and the other one was Zuckerberg with Facebook.
Correct.
At least they have something that you can at least see. I understand why Bezos is making all that money.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that you guys have made, through you and your wives and significant others, kids and stuff, have made probably 20 online purchases in the last 3 months.
What is this?
So that I mean, I'm not saying that to shame anybody,
Yeah.
but at least that says,
do.
okay, Bezos is taking advantage. He was correctly positioned.
He didn't
to
even
take
he
advantage.
didn't have to take advantage.
Well, he did. You should see the people that he's hired.
My point is, like, he didn't have to, because his system was structured as such. Here's why. Who's going to go buy something at a retail store in the middle of a pandemic? They just go online.
What the hell do you think happened
just
to
go
those
online.
$1,200 that each of us got in those stimulus checks?
I know where mine's at.
Well, think about the people who are not necessarily in our lifestyle.
Correct again. Correct
What are
again.
they doing? They
Middle
can't
income,
go. They can't
middle
go
income.
out to places.
Right.
So think about it. What about a place such as the people, the Waltons, who are getting rich off of Walmart? If people don't have money and jobs and those type of things, and they're being locked down, so they can't go into a Walmart, they can't
Right.
go into a Target, how are they getting their money? How are the Koch brothers, the ones who's got the wood products, like, how are they getting their money? How are these people who are these billionaires, how are they making money in an environment where they don't have a good or service that they're providing? That's the, I mean, and I don't know the answer to that, but that's the evidence that tells me that there is another shadow economic game that's being played.
Yeah. So I'm not an economist, you know, in that sense. I'm a social scientist, which includes economies, right? And the one thing I've always marveled at is, like I said, Wall Street to Main Street, right? And the disconnect. My overall point has always been that it's furthering. KP's heard this a gazillion times. I say the usual: the rich get rich, the poor get poor. I've always said that. But I started adding over the last 2-3 years, and the middle class continues to shrink. It's, like I said, a big pie, and you said kind of like a game, right? People believe, and like generically, oh, the market is doing well, so therefore the economy must be doing well. The market, Wall Street, is predicated on a feel of how investors in companies and stocks feel.
It's not based on substance.
It doesn't, but that's my point. It doesn't have to be.
So
it's a feel.
That means that if I
a feel.
feel like telling you today that I'm a millionaire, and I go out and rent a Ferrari, and I rent a nice house out in the north end, way out on the far end of the city, and I'm living above my means, but I have played the shell game well enough to be able to represent myself as a millionaire.
Correct.
I'm going to tell you that I represent it, and guess what you guys are going to start doing? Telling other people, you know, that Darren Miller, he's a millionaire. But I don't have nothing.
Well, here's the thing. Because if it looks like a Ferrari, it sounds like a Ferrari, it must be a Ferrari.
Well, let me ask you this.
That's a belief.
Do you think that Wall Street right now is playing the same game that they did back when the housing crisis, where they were...
They're playing the game.
No, they
For
are.
me, they're playing.
But
it's even worse than that.
But what I'm saying
they're
is,
playing
but
1920s.
But
they're
yeah,
playing
but just look at, for me, as recent, you know, back in the early 2000s, where I remember people at my school were coming in droves, and there were these huge, nice houses right across the street.
I remember
and I'm
when those
like,
went up.
how the
I
heck
remember
are these?
when those
and
went
then
up.
all of, you know, and these people were getting these
A lot of
crazy
people got
loans
foreclosed
and all
on
that.
in that area.
Yeah,
But they changed the rules at that time also. They've changed
Right.
the rules since then.
Well,
yeah,
you
but
had
still,
liars'
but
loans.
still,
Yeah, those-
there was Wall Street was, you know,
Right. They capitalized on it.
So
the same, because here's
my
the-
whole thinking is it's just another game, just like that they did back in the early 2000s.
But here's the thing, like, so that to both of your points, the game doesn't hurt them. The game doesn't hurt them. They're the
they're
ones
gonna make-
manipulating, mastering the game.
they're gonna make money.
They're making
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Okay, that small percentage on Wall Street is making money and telling everybody the economy's great. And like sheep, we no longer, and I'm going to say it again, as a people, whole, right? Not everybody in this country, but as a people, we no longer have the strength of character to make a hard decision. What you were saying, like beginning of the pandemic, right? Like what this young lady did from San Francisco, what Jacinda Ardern did in New Zealand. They didn't do this to see where the wind was blowing. They didn't give a damn about polls. They saw science and data and said people are going to die. What is the best thing we can do to make sure no people die, less people die? They made decisions. We don't do that anymore as a whole, and then we accept what we see. So as a whole, the economy, everybody's saying it's great. I've called it an inflated, a balloon, and it got popped. And now the result of it is going to be this. I saw this. The black numbers on unemployment, the president came out and said, it's better. We've gained this many more jobs. But the black number stayed static. It didn't move. It didn't move.
We gained? He's saying that we gained?
Okay, 2.5 million, that's last week. He said that the job gain, yes. You didn't see that?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, so he went out and he basically said, he's spiking the football. Look, we're coming back. We gained 2.5 million jobs this last week.
So 40 million minus
2.5.
2.5 puts you at 37.
It's not, yeah, I know. It's like, hey, we're winning, right?
It's messaging.
Yeah.
Hey, you know
For
what?
the short term.
We were going backwards 40 million, but now we're going forward. We're stepping forward. Now the whole point now is, okay, let's see next month. Are we going to still be going in the right
But
direction?
there's generic.
Yeah.
I mean, it can only go up.
Right.
It's so
Yeah.
bad. But I'm gonna throw you a little extra because we're gonna get to this at the back end of our conversation. The number on African Americans, my black brothers and sisters, stayed the same. Okay.
As far as
job gain.
Okay, gotcha.
The unemployment number
Unemployment
for African Americans, my black brothers and sisters, stayed the same. Another one, Asian American Pacific Islander, AAPI. They went down. It's crazy. I was looking at the stats within the overall, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? We're getting job gains, right? It's kind of like, oh yeah, somebody counted a job that's 3 hours, no benefits, no this, no that, but it's a job. So let's count that. That's another job
That's
gain.
Bezos, though. There you go with the Amazon. Those are the positions that he's hiring with Amazon.
Correct.
That's the position
So
you
it
got
looks
at
like a
Walmart.
gain, but it's a shallow
Yeah.
gain. It's not really of substance, kind of what your point was. Like, I can't feel or touch this thing, right? It is. It's not of substance. But the overall numbers, like I said, it went up. They say 2.5 million this last cycle, this last week. But overall, the poorest of classes, and I'm not just going to make it like a racial thing, right? Minorities. It's poor people, because that can be Ozark poor, okay? My white homies in the Ozark. And it's also young people. They're the ones that are out protesting now because I think they figured it out. If they don't understand it economically, they figured out, like, if this damn economy is so good, why am I suffering?
Right.
And I'm not talking about the pandemic, by the way. I'm not talking about the pandemic. The pandemic exacerbated and sped up the process. I think both of you guys kind of said that.
Let me ask this question to both of you guys. It's just generic. Do you guys know anybody? Okay, so just as reference, when the housing bubble burst, I mean, it was like every day I was having a communication with somebody who had just lost a house or was worried, and there was just so much high sense of stress. Are you guys feeling those same types of level of stress from your circle, your family that's around you, your friends that are around you?
That's probably not a good question for us.
Well, no, yeah, it is.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you why. Because what did we say at the beginning of this conversation?
But
the three of us are not poor, minority, low income. We're middle income.
I was doing better when the housing bubble happened, but I was still fielding questions from people who were in that bracket with me, homeowners, those type of things.
Friends and family, or more like involved with education? and work?
Everybody. You remember, my net is pretty large. I mean, I've got emails and all kind of different things coming that was going on at that time. I don't see that right now.
I don't see that either.
I don't.
And the reason why I bring that up is the economy, what we've got going on economically right now and socially is way worse than what went on with the housing bubble. So why is it not the same? Now, this is an arbitrary question. Why is it not the same level of stress and discomfort associated with these more negative times than it was then?
Well, could you put it to the fact of, okay, so with the pandemic and our businesses shut down, but people are still getting paid, there's more business loans going out to kind of keep everyone going, whereas and just like now, I mean, I keep getting emails from my mortgage company. Hey, if you're having a financial distress due to COVID-19, please reach out to us, and we've got some programs. Whereas during that period, I mean, I've heard of people who were calling their mortgage companies and saying, "Hey, I can't make this payment.
And it wasn't the other way around.
I lost my job or this or that. Could you give me a grace period?" Click. I heard that so many times.
That's correct.
And where people were trying to reach out and trying to, they know I'm not going to be able to make this payment, and let me go to my lender and let's refinance and this and that.
And they were like, you see short sales
and they were like, no.
Okay, that's not my department. Let me transfer you to.
No,
that shouldn't have been.
And then I remember that, 'cause it was like immediately
now, I don't see the distress because, all right, so we send out $1,200 stimulus, okay, to everybody, or people under 100,000, where people are still, even though they are not going into work, they are still, for the most part, getting paid. We have all of these different services now that have popped up to say, hey,
Correct.
let me help you. Like, for example, okay, student loans, okay? So it came out that with student loans, all right, if you were paying monthly on a student loan, you know what? We're going to put, we're going to deferment. We're going to push that back. Look at taxes. Taxes was like due in April, and now they're due in July. So all of these, I don't know if you want to call them reactions to COVID-19, but you see all of these things
based on,
that have come into play now.
I'll give you some red hot chili peppers.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Scar tissue.
Yeah, I love red hot chili peppers.
I do too. Scar tissue. Think about it. Since that time, I mean, we've all lived through that, right? We all lived through the housing bubble burst, right, in the 2008s. And I think generically, all of us have as a whole, if you're old enough, and you get to this point now, and I'm going to say it, we've become pretty damn tolerant of like some stupid stuff. Just things that we would not tolerate as Americans before, like not make an excuse for it. Like, this is garbage. I don't want to have to accept this, so now we do accept it because, well, yeah, you know, it was bad in 2008, and you know, we'll kind of get through it and deal with it. And education, I mean, you're like I said, of us, you're still in the classroom, but we're making it okay to just say, yeah, but you know, and you know, 115,000 deaths. Yeah, but you know, we lose this many to the flu. I'm kind of tired of that, by the way. And you guys know I'm a hardliner when it comes to making excuses for things that we should be correcting. And I'm not saying just the three of us here, gentlemen, having a good conversation. I'm talking about leadership. If leadership allows us to make excuses, you know what they're going to do. They're going to let us make the excuses, and they're going to go on to the next whatever.
It goes back to, I remember somebody many years ago told me, and basically said, you know what, it's your actions. You can talk all you want, you can talk the talk, but let's see your actions. That's where, you know, that's what you should be doing. And these leaders, and I'm not getting political here, I'm saying leaders in general, school districts, counties, cities, states, feds, they're all doing this. They're all talking, yap, 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 yap. But where are the actions? One thing that kind of hit my my chord is that, you know, now with the school districts now, okay, so you have, okay, because of COVID-19, and so now I think the last number I heard, state of California, we're going to be $54 billion short, 20 million of taxes coming in. So, you know, we're going to start cutting here and cutting here and cutting here. And so now I'm hearing from different leaders from different school districts saying, oh, you know what? We're going to have to talk about salary cuts. You know what? That's and I hear this from, you know, cities. Hey, we're going to have to start, you know, tightening our belt here and tightening our belt. Why wasn't this stuff done from the get-go? Why wasn't, when you are running an entity, whatever it is, that you're just not free willing, hey, money coming out, blah, 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 that you save for a rainy day? And my second point.
Tighten the damn belt, right?
Tighten the damn belt and be a leader.
The school district's reserves are pretty healthy right now.
They are pretty healthy,
Most of them
but
are.
they are still talking about, they're healthy through this year because the state of California has already said, hey, we're going to take care of you through this next school year. But after that, and I know school districts specifically who are now coming back and saying, well, you know what, we need to talk about, you know, cuts with your employees. Well, you know what, and my answer to that, and
what's plan B?
What about number one, if you were as a leader saying, you know what, we're going to have to cut our teacher salary or classified salary. What are you guys doing as leaderships? Where are you? Where are you tightening the belt? You know, where are you looking at this? And it's not just, I just pick on school districts just because I'm living that the here and now, but it's everywhere. It's like the city of Fresno. It's the county. It's everywhere. Where is the tightening of the belt? You know,
so that goes back to
let me point out one real quickly, just as a sidebar. I have seen, because I don't want to ever just like, you know, I'm harsh as anyone on leadership. Both of you know that. It always begins and ends with leadership for me.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have seen some in municipalities, and not, you know, say just here, right, but across the country, municipalities and state. I haven't seen it at the federal level and back down more toward the governor level, but municipalities, police chiefs, mayors, I've seen a lot of them, and I've been keeping track, putting people, or they have willingly taken a pay cut, or absolve themselves of taking salary during this time.
What is
so
that?
I'm just saying that because I want to put that on record.
Okay, yeah.
There are some that have done it, and,
Okay.
it's Democrat and Republican.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people are doing that.
Yeah.
And
So-
I would like to see our people in this
Well,
area
I'd like
take
to
some
see,
pay
yeah,
cuts.
exactly, for
So
sure.
think about where that decision comes from. No.
Yeah,
no,
well, yeah.
No, that's a monetary decision.
No, oh yeah, of course.
It's
but
a
I'm saying-
monetary
I
decision.
mean, like
Anytime-
individually, if you're
but I'm
making
saying-
if you're
but-
making 200,000 as a superintendent, that's your choice because nobody's going to stop you from saying no. You have to say, I don't want the 200,000.
So why not? So why not say if I'm making $200,000 as a superintendent, and I have, I don't know, 20 responsibilities, I keep my $200,000, and now I grow my list to 40 responsibilities, and I diminish what goes on with my administrative staff.
What I'm losing you. Okay, so
So-
you're saying decrease your staff or?
Yeah, because if there's not an
amount of salaries.
if you don't need an assistant bean
Okay,
counter,
I understand what you're saying.
then you take the assistant bean counter out, and then you give those
Well, and
responsibilities.
and that's what I'm meaning by tightening the belt. It should always, when you run,
Programmatically.
yeah,
Right, it
well,
should be
it's-
based
yeah,
off of
it's just-
of
it's just-
I'm not
yeah.
saying no.
And
Yeah,
need.
I'm
yeah,
not saying
and,
no.
and
I
I'm just,
agree.
I hit schools just because, but it should be with anything. I mean, I used to sell. I remember we were telling that I used to sell on eBay. And
This guy's got like 90 jobs.
I know exactly. But I was running, quote, a small business, and when I had to adjust, and I had to adjust month to month to month, and you do that when you see, okay, the forecast, oh, my sales are starting to slow down, or my enrollment is starting to get less, or whatever. Instead of saying, oh, hey, we're going to go and we're going to hire like 5 more people, and we're going to keep these people doing their jobs, and we're going to do this and do this and do this, and we just keep growing and growing and growing, it's going to burst.
Which is like
Yeah.
I'll say like bloated.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's not just our economy;
Yeah.
it's our governmental systems. Which, by the way,
It's
is
all
what
of our
a
systems.
lot of my friends on the right, and I'm conservative about these particular issues. I do think we're bloated. I do think we get too big. I do think we just throw money at things, and I do think we spend money. So I'm going to agree with both of you on the fact that this programmatically, I don't see why every governmental organization, because by the way, we pay their taxes. Through taxes, we pay their salaries.
salaries, yeah.
I don't see why every, say, school district, because we're all in or from education in some way, I don't see why every school district isn't tightening their belt and looking at places where they can cut additional staff, a bean counter that is absolutely not necessary, that doesn't deal with kids, has nothing to do with the in the classroom stuff. But I got to do it. I got to do it to both of you. I'm still going to say, if I were the damn superintendent or leading the school district, I would absolve myself of that salary at least for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to say it, gentlemen.
But that
Yeah, I'm
doesn't-
gonna-
I
I'm
got
gonna do
you,
it.
But
I'm gonna
that-
do it.
We talked about appearances. That's all appearance.
That's not appearance.
It
That's
is.
money, Darren.
That's appearance. You
Darren,
can't.
That's
so-
$200,000.
So
every
a
month.
superintendent makes $200,000 a year, and he reduces his salary to $150,000 a year. You got $50,000 extra dollars to be able to do what with?
I'm gonna go a step further. I'm gonna hit you from the left. You ready?
But what are you going to do with you got?
I'm not saying go down to 150. I'm saying the mug should eliminate his salary at least in the foreseeable future. I'm gonna tell you
eliminate.
what.
Well,
Why should a person work for free?
I think this is more of from.
It's public service.
no,
This
no,
is
no,
my-
no,
I think
no,
No, here's my
my-
thing. Look, these superintendents and these people that are making 200 and some that make $250,000. Okay, there are people in this county right now that make $250,000 to lead a school district.
Correct.
That's, I'm gonna say,
And if you're running
that
Fresno
is public service.
got you. And if you're running Fresno Unified School District, you're underpaid.
I disagree.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
We're gonna
think-
disagree out of hand.
That is
We're
the
disagree out of
third
hand.
largest school
I
district
agree.
in
I
the
know,
state.
I know, but
So, 250.
here's the thing: you're looking at work. I'm not disagreeing with you. That is the most difficult. We'll bring that one up. Let's put it on the table. Fresno Unified, right? That one's the $250,000 job. Okay, I'm not saying that dude is not doing a big job. Obviously, it's the biggest job in this area when it comes to, education.
He has the most employees.
Okay,
He has
but
the largest student
I'm gonna
body.
put it this. I'm telling you what I would do. I'm just telling you point blank. Now, maybe not everybody's going to agree with me because they're going to see it your way, and they'll probably be split. Right? We'll have disagreement. How much more money? How much hotter is my hot water at home by making this much more money? I can't give up a little bit for the people that I'm supposed to be working for.
Well, and
I
that's
got
where,
you, but
and that's
that's-
where I'm going to go. I'm going to say, you know, as a leader, I'm not saying give up your salary.
As a leader, you sacrifice.
But as
You
a leader,
sacrifice
as a
first.
leader, you sacrifice and you
First.
say, okay, you know what? I myself, because I'm leading the ship, I'm going to take a right off the top 10% cut, and all of my administrators, we're all going to take 10% cut.
I'd be
Now
cutting them
I
all,
know
too.
that
I'd
that
be
is
cutting them all.
I know that that is piddly, okay, but it's more of, you know what? Because now I'm going to come to looking at tightening my belt when it comes to, all right, this person, we can combine these two jobs. I have an opening over here. I'm going to move this. I'm going to fill positions from retirement and attrition. I'm going to fill all those with people within. So I'm going to do whatever I can so that people don't lose their jobs. And once I do all that, after I look at all the programs and stuff, and if I'm still in a position where my top level, we've eliminated some positions, we've moved some things around, we didn't fill this, we didn't fill that, then I can literally, with good faith, come to my staff where all of the big monies, you know, because you know as well as I do, with employees,
Yeah.
that's the majority of a
Right,
budget.
right.
Then I can, in good faith, say, you know what? This is what we've
Okay.
done, and I've transparent.
So
and then now I'm
you've
going to come.
encapsulated them.
I got a different take on
I
that,
don't think it's
though.
so. You've encapsulated, okay, what I mean, and then you go with your take, because we're probably not going to be totally in agreement here, but encapsulated, okay? I cannot personally, willingly go to my people, a people that I lead, a people that I'm in charge of, and ask them to lose their positions, lose their jobs, lose their salaries, or lose percentage of their money. I can't do that until I've done it first.
Well, that's
I
my whole
disagree.
point.
I can't
I
do that.
disagree.
I can't do that.
Here's the scenario that I would say. You, as
You wanna be a
as a
superintendent.
superintendent,
You wanna be a
listen, but listen, as a superintendent, you leave my salary alone. You tell me what it is you want me to get done, what needs to get done for this school district to be vibrant and sustainable financially, all of those type of things. And if I can't do it, then you get rid of my ass and get somebody in that job that can. Because even though I take a 10% cut or whatever, but I'm still going to have to eliminate jobs. I'm still going to have to move services around and those type of things.
Correct.
So what is that?
You're going to have to do that anyway.
What is that 10% reduction in my salary or anybody's salary? How does that make me a better administrator?
It's good faith.
It's leadership by example.
it's
So
good.
you ask your people to take a pay cut. You ask your people to lose their job. And then, like what he said,
you're not willing
and you
to
know
do
this
it
too, because
yourself.
I mean, look, you're in education as a board member. The overwhelming, the big number of dollars comes from employee salaries.
Mm-hmm.
How can you go to that group of people and say, we're going to cut this many positions, we're going to cut some counselors, we're going to cut some psychologists, we're going to cut this,
I
and then we're going
got
to
an answer for you because
Okay.
it's based off of need. Our school district has a high number of second language learner students, 35%, 40%.
Right.
So we know that we have a need in that area, so that's going to be an area that I'm going to protect. I'm going to make sure that whatever services we're providing to those students that's in that area, we're going to do that. Special ed takes care of itself because that's law.
you're making good administrative managerial
We
decisions.
have
on
a
need.
huge number. We have 11% of our population which comes out of foster care and
Correct.
the penal system. So I know that that's a huge need for us. I'm going to protect that. Okay. So that's what I mean about making good, sound decisions. Whereas in an athletic department, I'm an athlete, still involved in athletics.
We're all
So maybe that
That's gonna
means
hurt.
because I have to move some things around, this year in my district, we do not have freshman athletics. So you get rid of freshman athletics and they all become JV players.
Yep.
Okay? Instead of
To me, those are easy
instead of
decisions.
traveling out of the area,
Exactly.
Central Unified, which
Those are easy
instead of
decisions.
you going to Sacramento and
Right.
Los Angeles, and all, not the playoffs,
Correct.
but in your preseason,
Correct.
we can't afford to take that travel, so you're going to stay here locally.
Right. That's tightening the belt.
But
is
that's what I
it
mean
is.
about
Yeah.
if you're whether you take 10% of my salary or
I'm still
not,
gonna take your
if a
money.
person is not making those kind of decisions, but think about it. I may be able to save the district
See, listen, I'm gonna
10% by the decisions I'm making.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. And here's what I would say to that. I should still be able to do that even if it's more than 10%. I should still make good decisions for my people. Now, let me, bear with me. I should still make good decisions for my people, regardless of how much I pay.
So then
if
you-
I'm the leader.
So if you're $200,000, you take your $200,000. I'm going to take 10% salary reduction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take $20,000 and I'm going to put it into Central Unified's foundation, which supports other entities, other aspects, what's going
I
on.
don't trust those bugs either.
But see, but
okay.
But I mean, but that's what I rather
let,
than
me put it this way. How about this?
reducing
How about this?
salaries
How about this?
kills morale, and you're not going to get a person.
Well, no.
That's,
It
oh,
should not.
Richard,
Darren, no, I disagree. I
This is
disagree.
my fourth time in the school district
then
going
I'm
through
gonna
this shit.
tell you
I'm
what,
telling you.
then clearly, if you are the leader, and I'm not going to budge on this one because this is the way I was trained, this is the way I was raised, and I've seen some of the best men in our country actively move in this direction. And this is the process and thing. I was trained on this. If your morale takes a hit, if you're at the top, then you don't belong there.